No, I'm not in camera.
Oh, come on.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Glenn, Karen, and Jeff. Nice to see you all.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Happy Wednesday.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and I'll add people as they come in. This is awesome. We have a good group. And yeah, if everyone can please place themselves on mute. Everybody, to our 28th Lunch and Learn. This is amazing that we've been doing this for 28 weeks in quarantine. A couple of Zoom rules. I know you all are probably experts at this point with Zoom, but please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for the presentation. And then video sharing is optional, although we love to see all your friendly faces. We will have a Q&A at the end. Because we started a little later today, we will go a little bit over about 12:50 or 12:55. We will have that opportunity for question and answer with our special guest speaker today, Walter Suskind. So thank you, Walt, for staying in a little bit later. And then please type any questions or comments into the chat during the presentation. We love to see your engagement. We do include a recap email that has some answers and some really great ways to see our community getting involved throughout the presentation. So feel free to type those into the chat. A quick update from Autism Tree, what we've been doing since shelter in place. We have now reached over 468,000 people through our social media platforms, which is incredible. That is through our Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those platforms together. That is the congregate number that we've reached since March, shelter in place. Our posts have been shared over 782 times, which is amazing. Thank you for sharing all of our posts. And we have also grown our HPF YouTube channel to over 279 impact videos. Please subscribe today if you haven't. It's easy, takes 1 minute. We also have 228 of those videos be added since March 12th. So thank you to all of our volunteers who have submitted a video, either a Reading with Autism Tree video where we read a children's book to our kids. We've now posted 85 of those videos, actually 86 today. We posted one today and reached over 42,000 people. And then we also have our HPF at home series where we share fun activities for our kids to do and families to do at home. Since March, we have provided 147 virtual events to date, which is incredible. And then we'll also have 14 events between now and the end of October 31st coming up at Autism Tree. So if you want to get involved, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll let you know what's coming up. And of course, we now offer 19 of our 20 programs. 18 are virtual. One is we did in person back in July. So that's a quick update from Autism Tree. And then without further ado, I'll hand it over to Dana Hoff. She's our co-founder and volunteer executive director, and she will be sharing a little bit more about our guest speaker today.
Hi, TPF family. I can't believe it's 28 weeks this week, and today I have to admit was the first time I personally had technical difficulty and didn't get to spend too much time before this call with Walt, but I really want to let everyone know that Walt is coming to us from Washington, D.C., and it's really a huge honor to have him here. His body of work that he has done in honor of his brother, Owen, is fully remarkable to me. He honestly is like anyone I've ever met. Walt, I didn't tell you on the pre-call that I don't introduce our guest speakers in a sort of professional way. I introduce you more as a family member, and I think it's really relevant. I think you'll agree that, you know, I feel like family, even though we haven't got to actually spend a lot of time in person together. How I met Walt is one of our really active families, who's also Julie Bronstein is a mentor to me. Her family has a foundation called the Epstein Foundation, which has been a huge support to Autism Tree. And they've really never asked anything of us. But in this instance, they were putting on, they were co-chairing or sponsoring Vista Hills Luncheon. And Walt was the speaker. So Autism Tree actually had a whole table, and we brought Kira and her mom, who run our siblings program for ATPF. And it was just certainly an event and day I will never forget. And it's really all because of Walt. And he was actually kind of filling in big shoes for his father. And I would say, Walt, you did a phenomenal, phenomenal job. And it was so extra bonus to meet your mom that day. And you know, I won't forget it. And then we actually, after the luncheon, met up later that day, and one of the schools had a showing of the documentary about Walter and his family and all that they do. So I can't be more thrilled for you to learn from Walt today, and just to say, Walt, how blessed I am by all the work that you and your family do. And you are truly the most remarkable sibling in all that you do for Owen and other siblings. And I'm just really want to be in gratitude with everyone today. And so looking forward to everyone learning from you. I'm going to share with you, Walt, that everything that I picked out today right now for this introduction was with you in mind. So the question is going to be, everyone will type it in. We do this every week so that we can kind of get a sense for hearing your voice and just connecting further. What quality do you admire about one of your siblings or family members? And we love it when people send in these personal photos. This one is from Daniel Wright. He has been sending in some great photos. This one's from Texas, 2007. Hi, Jeff. Leadership and being a good role model. Oh, love that. This video I picked out, I thought was really, honestly, Walter, it reminded me of when you had a question and answer, I think, before or after the documentary. And someone, I think, asked you to call your brother Owen, and you did. And it was just, it was so much fun seeing you talk to Owen and kind of having us get to know him better. And for some reason, this video just really, I thought was really fun on siblings. So it's like 1 minute. We're going to show that next.
This is my big brother. When he was born, the doctor said it was a miracle. My mom said, you better believe it. I wonder what it'll be like growing up with a normal brother. The hand-me-downs might be more of my style. Games would be a little easier. And for once, I could be better than him at something. Mom says I should be happy I even have a brother to play with. But sometimes he's too much for me. He does get the chores done fast. And he gives me rides everywhere. Sometimes I feel like I get lost in his shadow. But life with a normal brother would just be so much smaller.
Glenn, I didn't realize you had 4 sisters and 2 brothers. That's incredible. I love knowing that about you, Glenn. Anyway, I just thought that video was really cute. And with that, we have a quote of the week that I wanted to share with you too. It's really light on the screen, but this reminded me of you and Owen, Walter, because brothers don't let each other wander in the dark alone. And it's so great. I mean, Walter's family, they have a book and a documentary, but what I actually saw and experienced, this quote was directly from the way you treated your brother. And just, it was, it really touched me. It still stays with me thinking about the level of love that I see you giving your brother. And even when I looked at your Facebook, he had drawn you something for Easter, because he's a good artist and with the Disney characters, and you're just so supportive of him. These are some photos from the luncheon I was telling you about. The far left, I'm holding the book that Walter's probably going to mention and talk about a little bit maybe. That's Walter with me and his mom. And then next to that leads our sibling program and her mom. And then Walt here speaking in San Diego at the luncheon. And then below him with Joel Anderson. And then the far low corner on the right, Garrett and I had this great opportunity. Garrett wasn't at the luncheon because he was at George Washington at school in DC. So I was so excited to share with him about Walt. And then we all met up for dinner in DC, which was really very cool that we could do that. And that is hard to believe that it was 2 years ago, Walt, but I'm just so glad that we did. And please know that Autism Tree thinks of you and your work as a family, and just all of our love and support for everything you're doing. And big warm welcome. Thanks so much.
Well, Dana, thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for, popping in here on a Wednesday, I guess midday out where you are, but, really appreciate it. And, it's funny seeing all those pictures. It really brings me back to that day where, obviously, all the love in the room, but also one of the things I always remember from that day is getting to do that with my mom, which is something that, often, kind of the tier we always joke about is, people are like, oh, is your dad available? Is Owen available? And then me and my mom are like, yeah, actually. But, when it gets to be me and my mom, she's the one that's really shaped our family. Both my parents have, but, my mom has, had her hands on the wheel and been there for Owen and been there for me. And, getting to have any of these conversations about the sibling experience, you can, when you're talking to a room of people that might not be part of the autism or disability community, it's one thing, but getting to talk to other families, I think, is really the most special experience, because we've all walked one path or another that's going to be familiar. And just knowing, the love each family, has for their son or daughter or brother or sister, and, kind of how, my Owen and other people's Owens, shape our lives so importantly. It's, it's really special. So I really appreciate being here. And so I'll just jump right in. My name's Walter. As Dana mentioned, I'm 32 years old. I'm the older brother of Owen, who is 29 years old now. Owen is independently in Cape Cod. I live in Massachusetts. I live in Washington, D.C. So we're in the same general zone, but, living apart, which is, obviously something that, me and my family talk about and something we're always considering. But I also, a couple of years ago, I started a nonprofit called SibStrong, which I talked about when I was out in San Diego. And, it's a simple idea, and it's something I know other siblings are doing, but it's really just finding a way to bring siblings together, knowing that growing up, I would always see there's support groups for parents, there's support groups for people with autism. And, I think the important thing is with the sibling experience, we're part of that team and we need support just like everyone else. And what we try and do with SibStrong is, none of us has all the answers, and we know that, but we all have experiences and, you know, a life that is valuable and that can be helpful to other siblings, that, you know, adult siblings talking to each other and talking to our younger selves can only help to, you know, strengthen our whole community. And, you know, just knowing that other siblings are out there that can be a resource for you, or just a, you know, place to turn, a place to talk and to give air to what you're feeling is, you know, just, I think, incredibly important for, you know, any experience, and that goes for siblings as well. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about, you know, less about the program, but more, I think, just about the sibling experience. And I think it's something a lot of people will be able to identify with on here and, you know, will understand well. But, you know, when we work with our younger siblings, and, you know, also when we talk to the adult siblings about their experience growing up, you know, there's a lack of opportunities to tap in and to really just normalize what it is to be a sibling. And I think that video that Dana showed kind of captured some of that, where in a lot of ways you are just a sibling like anyone else, but from a young age, you know, it's different. And your parents might say, you know, this is how it is. But I think a lot of siblings go through their lives kind of not speaking about their experience. And some of those reasons I just have here, you know, we jump in, I think, at a very young age to kind of this third parent role. We, you know, we love our brothers and sisters. We want to be there for them. We want to be there for our parents, and you kind of adapt and figure it out on the fly. And, you know, I know from my personal experience when I was younger, it was, you know, mom and dad are really busy with Owen. I don't want to be a burden. I can figure it out. And it was interesting because my parents would always joke with their other friends, you know, oh, Walter's so independent. He's such an adult. And when I was younger, and I talked to them as I got older and kind of explained, a lot of that was really about, you know, not knowing how to deal with the situation, and it kind of being easier to just go it alone. And, you know, obviously that doesn't have to be the case. I mean, you look at the autism community, you know, we're national numbers, 1 in 55. So for every person diagnosed with that has autism, there are multiple siblings, you know, there's most likely one or more siblings out there. So there's so many of us, and the idea that, you know, all of us are kind of walking on this parallel path, you know, there's just this opportunity to connect, which, you know, pays dividends for everybody. But I think another thing, you know, especially for younger people, is that you don't, when you're at school, it can be an isolating experience when your friends, brothers and sisters aren't like your brother and sister. And, you know, you can't really relate to your friends about it, so you just kind of roll with it. And, you know, through that point about, you know, being in school and everything else, I think, you know, within the family and outside the family, starting early is so important. I have these figures here, you know, talking to the adult siblings that are involved in SibStrong, you know, the majority, when we ask, you know, did you feel when you were supported when you were younger? Most say no. And it's, you know, most also are very quick to identify that it wasn't usually through, you know, they're not blaming their parents or anything like that. It's just that people were really busy, and, you know, I kind of went my own way. And, you know, that just doesn't have to be the case, you know, especially because so many of us, when we're even younger, we're thinking about the future. And, you know, that whole idea of, we develop, you know, sometimes at a younger age, we're very caring, we're, you know, kind of there in that, you know, guardian, you know, trying to be there and help out role. We're naturally going to think about the future. And, you know, when families, and my parents, we talk about this, they, you know, would say this kind of, we want you to live your life, you know, don't worry about, you know, the future and taking care of Owen. But I think, like a lot of siblings would say, is, you know, my brother is part of my life. You know, I've known that since I was young. I know it's just going to be us one day. And so it just doesn't really do any favors to do the, you know, don't worry about it and just go off and do things. Kind of just having those frank conversations, you know, will just help going forward. And I think, you know, when I talk to parents, you know, a lot of them can often identify, well, we don't want to say the wrong thing, we're not sure. But it's not about having this, drop the gigantic binder, we need to have this whole conversation when you're 8 years old. It's just checking in. It's just having little conversations so siblings know, mom and dad are thinking about, where I fit in. And, just kind of just that slow burn little by little, I think can help a ton. And then, I think when I talk to, there are two sides to the coin. There's, a lot of siblings, will not want to say the wrong thing to their parents. They won't want to say that, my brother, drives me crazy sometimes. When we talk to kids at SibStrong, we say, whatever you're feeling is totally valid, and always to remember that, just, in a lot of ways, you're like any other sibling pair. Obviously, there are very unique things, but give air to what you're feeling, because anything you're feeling is totally normal. That, there's no right way to be a sibling. And I think that's, one of the most important things, I can, convey during this presentation. And we always try and say to all the kids that are involved is, you might see a sibling that is very involved in their brother and sister's life. That's, the kind of like super sibling. You don't have to be that. And, this whole, you need to be perfect, you need to up your game, however you are is just fine. And, whatever you're feeling is just fine. So I think we really try and convey, also when the kids come in, they're going to be kids that don't really want to take part. If you just want to sit there and listen, that's perfect. If you want to come once and then show up a year later, that's perfect too. Just knowing that, whatever you're doing is, what's right for you. And just to know that there's support around you, that there's no supposed to's, in the sibling experience. And that I think can really, alleviate some of the pressure. But at the same time, also, it's important to talk about, building up siblings too. And, anyone who went to school with their brother or sister knows that people naturally turn to us. And having that knowledge, even basic knowledge, is empowering, because otherwise, you're fumbling for answers, or you don't know, and then you'd rather kind of not deal with it. So, being there to say, here's, what will help you in, being there for your brother and sister, because we always are. And then this last part about making people feel like part of the team. I think oftentimes when I think about growing up sometimes and I talk to other adult siblings, I think a lot of times it could feel like our parents and our brother were in one car and we were kind of in a parallel track, going alongside. And, making them feel like part of the team, and to the extent they want to be, obviously, but, cutting them in and making sure, they understand their role, because it's delicate, it's complicated. So I think back to that point of, having these conversations, making them feel involved, it just, it helps, in the near term, in the day-to-day, but it also helps in the long run, because, you normalize it and make it, feel, set in a way. And then, I think here, the same as parents or people with autism, I think engaging with other siblings is so important. And, the maybe not shocking thing actually is, before this documentary came out, I probably knew like 4 or 5 other siblings. And most siblings I talk to, say the same thing. Like, I don't have a big community of siblings, so there's not a lot of other people to talk to. But like anything else, when you're around people that have similar experiences, it's just reassuring. When we get the groups together for SibStrong, there is this just feeling of everyone just gets it here. We all get it in our own ways, but you can say things that, only other siblings will understand. In a way, your friends never will. You might not want to say to your parents. So just, the idea of bringing siblings together, whether that's, virtually, whether it's just connecting, pen pals, whether it's in-person gatherings, when we can do that, it's just really important, and just knowing you have people out there. And so that's, I think just so important, in general within the autism and disability community, because we all know we are stepping in at one point or another into these larger roles, and just knowing you have this network to tap into, whether you're super engaged in the network or not, it's good to know there are other siblings out there that you can, turn to. And, talking about that kind of long term, I just want to show a quick video from the documentary that really, I think, is the part that most siblings I talked to, after the documentary did talk about that most resonated with them.
My mom and dad are getting older every year. 20 years from now, who knows, and it'll be just me, and I'll be ready. I've been getting ready my whole life, but it can kind of be overwhelming to think about the idea of taking care of them and taking care of Owen and how that's going to look. Yeah, I can keep you up at night thinking about it. And for some reason, the birthday is sometimes when it rips out of me. But most of the time, I just forget about it and try not to think about it, because it'll come at some point. I'm his only family he's got. And I'll have to do, and whatever I have to do to make sure he's okay.
So, it's the fact of life that, siblings know that one day we are stepping into this role. And, just like to show kind of, one, that almost all of us see ourselves as future caregivers. But then the flip side is a lot of us just don't feel like we're really that prepared. And a super addressable problem. And I think what I've been talking about is, having, these conversations and not, just kind of kicking the can and saying, we'll deal with it later. But I can also understand, it's been even tough for our family that my mom's been there for my brother since, the day he was born. And I realize for her to even think about the day that she won't be there to protect him, to support him, is something, I don't have a child. Until I have a child, I don't think I'll ever be able to understand that. And, I know it's hard, but I think, what I try and reassure her is, I'm ready for this. This is something I'll be there for, that, I can take up this mantle, that, I'll be there to protect Owen and to walk on that trail with Owen, kind of wherever it will lead. And, I think making sure that, that process is starting early and you're building it together will, make things easier in the long run. You do sometimes see where I'll talk to a parent whose kids are in their early 30s, and growing up, they never really acknowledged it. They never really acknowledged the sibling being part of it. And naturally, in cases, a sibling then kind of says, once they reach adulthood, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And, the parents are then in their 60s and they're trying to figure out the future, and they're kind of panicking because, that opportunity for engagement growing up and in their 20s didn't happen. And then they're trying to scramble for the future. And, we just know that it doesn't have to be this way. And, just to let siblings know that support is out there for them and that there are places they can turn, and, making this a lifelong thing, not a, hurry up and scramble thing, I think really can, it's going to help us, but also most importantly for any parents out there, it's going to help your son or daughter with autism, that, the continuation is going to be in place. And, I know there's a lot of resources. One that, I work with the ARC of the United States, and, tapping into, there are future planning tools out there that can help put these plans in place that, will help and will just reassure. And then I just wanted to, kind of wind up to talk a little bit more about SibStrong and, who we are and kind of what we're doing. And the big thing when I do talk to these older siblings, we all wish we could go back in time and talk to our 9-year-old, 10-year-old selves and, kind of provide that context and that reassurance that, we didn't have when we were younger. And fortunately with SibStrong, we can. And COVID's stunk in a lot of ways, but one way it's actually helped is, the geographical issues aren't there as much. We gather on Zoom and, we bring siblings together to, just talk and to, all these things I've been talking about of just, giving air to our experiences and talking about being a sibling and answering each other's questions. And so we do this in a couple ways. We have adult only, SibStrong, where same thing, before we would get together at, a bar or a restaurant and kind of just have an informal community that then we could keep in touch with. But, I think the most important part of our program is the, younger sibling support groups where it's by siblings for siblings. And there's a lot of great other sibling organizations out there and programs, but, where we're really trying to focus and differentiate ourselves is this idea of when these kids get in the room, it's not like it's a, therapist or a psychiatrist, it's just other siblings who have had similar experiences. So whatever they say, they're going to know they're in a safe room of other people that, know what's going on. And we've seen, the younger siblings really enjoy, honestly, the opportunity just to talk with older siblings and ask questions of, what does this look like for you? I'm going through this. How have you dealt with that? And, we always have activities built in, and I always end up putting a whole agenda together, but often it very quickly just kind of the conversation moves. Kids have things they want to talk about, and, the adult siblings, before they enter, a lot of them ask, what should I be ready for? And it's really about, you don't have to bring much, just bring your experiences, obviously knowing, the age of the kids you're talking to, but, you don't have to have exact answers on things. It's really, we just want to share those experiences that can help, other people at different points on their path. And, I'm really excited about, how we're continuing to grow and, kind of become, bring more siblings in. We usually, when we gather, it's usually for an hour and a half. And we usually start as a whole group and then very quickly break into kind of 3 to 1 adult sibling, 3 younger siblings. And those kind of smaller groups have definitely helped move conversation and stimulate conversation. But now with Zoom, it's, we have people joining from all over the country who just want to, if you're a sib, we want you in the tent. And so it's been incredible and, really excited to keep moving it forward. And with that, thank you all so much for letting me talk for a little while, and happy to answer any questions people might have.
Thank you so much, Walter. It really is it's amazing that you started this organization. And I hear from so many families who have, the same concerns that you just expressed during that of, I worry about my kid who's a sibling and just what the future holds, obviously. And this is just so needed in our community. And I'll open it up to questions. If anybody wants to ask any questions, you can type it in the chat or unmute yourself. But I have a question just to get it started. Yeah. Walter, how has you and your brother's relationship kind of evolved during COVID?
The good thing with Owen was even before COVID, he was a very good communicator. And by that, he usually calls or texts like 4 times a day, usually very short, about 40-second calls. We get right to the point. There's a question, there's a thought, and then he hangs up. But, it's been great. It hasn't really changed too much. I think it's tough for him, like it's tough for a lot of people, of wondering when this is going to end. And it's hard as a brother. Usually I feel like I can give him answers on things and I can give him guidance on things. But with this, it's kind of telling Owen, listen, man, we're all in the same boat. All of us wish we knew when this was going to end, and hopefully it'll end soon. But I think, just trying to give him reassurance that, I know he's frustrated, like a lot of people are. So I think just, talking to, kind of just being there for him, the way we always have. But I think, obviously just more so digitally now, because I can't, fly up there. We can't meet up like we did before. But hopefully that ends soon.
Well, it's good to hear that communication is still really strong. Otto asked, thanks Otto for joining us today. Otto is one of our teens and he runs our Typers program.
Oh, awesome.
His mom. And so Otto asked, sometimes I have feelings of guilt. Does Owen? Otto, do you want to elaborate on that at all? Here, let's see if I can show him on the screen.
Otto has 2 older brothers, Walter.
Oh, great.
How old? Otto, I forgot how old you are. I wonder if you would type that in.
Here, I'll spotlight him. He's typing.
Hi, Shelly. Hi, Otto.
Otto, how's it going?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Otto's 16.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Gosh,
and
Otto,
2
I
older
can't
brothers?
believe it.
I believe the older brothers are 25 and
26. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, if they, I'd love to connect with them if they'd be interested.
I think Otto's typing right now, Walter.
Great. I mean, I could definitely, I think sometimes Owen might, but, Otto, I would just say that, any feelings of guilt that he might have, I try just to override with, I understand why any of the time and resources that you or my brother might, take up, we're doing that because, you need them. And, I think, at least for me, whenever Owen, is getting frustrated or, I just want to be there for him the best way I can. And, everyone walks up a different hill. And I know that the hill that you and Owen walk up in any given day is going to be steeper than probably one I'll walk up ever. The little things I take for granted, I know, the challenges that you guys face and take on. And so, your brothers, I'm sure, I don't want to speak for your brothers, but for Owen, I just want the best for him. And I know, that's going to take more effort and, it's going to take us doing more. And, I just know that, from a brother's perspective, we're so proud of, all you do, every single day. And so, any of that guilt, try, it's totally normal to feel, but, your brothers are like, you're like the boxer and your brothers are going to be there in your corner, kind of supporting you.
Aww.
I love that.
Me too. Otto says they're like you, Walter.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'd love to meet him sometime.
I love it. It's that unconditional.
I just will regret if I don't say this. Otto, I can't even tell you how much you bring to Autism Tree wherever you are, but certainly right now on this, everybody's typing that in. I'm sure you can see it, but I want you to know straight for me, I feel like somehow you make me see things in such a different angle, and that angle is just so much more beautiful with you here than not. And that's that way every single time. So I'm so glad you're on this Lunch and Learn with Walt. It's a total gift.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Otto, for sharing how you were feeling. It makes me understand how my daughter feels. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Tamar. Well, oh, that's just so wonderful. I have a couple more questions. If anybody wants to ask.
Yeah, I think Jeff has a question.
Yes, Jeff said, by the way, great job, Walter. By the way, your dad's Ron Suskind, right?
Ron Suskind is my dad. Big Ron, as we call him, all 5'6" of him, but he brings a lot of energy into the room. But yeah, he's my dad, and he lives in Boston. So my parents and my brother live about an hour away from each other, and then I'm like 8 hours away driving.
Yeah,
probably.
I actually live in. I'm actually from Massachusetts myself.
Oh, awesome! Should have realized what the Patriots.
Yeah, but I'm near Providence, Rhode Island. So.
Oh no! Are you down near like Foxborough and stuff?
I'm about 20 minutes from Foxborough. So.
Okay, cool, yeah. Oh, so you're pretty near Owen, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty near Owen. So, my question to you is, have you guys ever bonded by watching Disney films? And if so, what is your favorite Disney movie that you and your brother have watched?
For sure. Yeah, we definitely have. That's movies like, it talks about it a lot in the documentary, but like movies are our bond, especially when Owen was younger and before he could speak and everything. The campfire we kept warm around was, the glow of the TV and watching these movies. And we still do. And one of the great things is, Disney is still first and foremost for Owen, but over the last 10 years, the movies he likes have just continued to expand. So, we watch everything, any kind of movie now. He just became a fan of The Big Lebowski because he really likes Steve Buscemi, which was great for me as a Big Lebowski fan. I think my favorite Disney movie to watch with him, and if we're going to include Pixar in it too, I would say, Beauty and the Beast has always been kind of part of the foundation for us. Recently, we're both big Ratatouille fans. Couple of others. Great Mouse Detective, not as popular, but we're both big Great Mouse Detective fans. And I'm the better one to answer this than Owen, because Owen, for whatever reason, is very diplomatic. I think he cares so much about these movies, he doesn't want to insult one or the other. So he gets this question all the time. People are like, what are your favorite Disney movies? He's like, I can't, I don't want to say, I like them all so much. But Owen's the master of these movies. But we're big Beauty and the Beast fans.
Yeah, I'm a big Disney buff myself. So
nice. What about you? What's your favorite? Couple of favorites.
Well, as a kid growing up, my favorite was Snow White. Mm-hmm. But as an adult, it would have to be Fantasia.
Ooh, it's a great, yeah. I think pure music, it's hard to, different type of music, but yeah, it's a great one. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, the documentary that was based on Walter's family is called Life Animated, and we will share it in the recap email. Walter, do you know where we can access that? Is it on?
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
You can get it other places, but I'm pretty sure it's part of Amazon Prime now. And yes, Otto, Toy Story, huge Toy Story fan. Owen's not a big fan of the last one, which is tough because I want to watch. It's also like Owen is very particular about when we watch these movies. So Owen basically, sometimes I forget, basically is a schedule for the year of when each movie's going to get watched. So he'll come to visit me. I'll be like, hey, Owen, we should watch Coco right now. And he's like, no, we don't do that till Thanksgiving. I'm like, yeah, but I have Disney Plus. We can watch Coco. He's like, no, we're not going to.
Well, Walter, I have to say my dad's not diagnosed on the spectrum, but it's pretty obvious to me.
Yeah.
And he watches his Disney movies, and he has to watch them at a certain time, and it drives my siblings crazy. And I try to explain to them this is part of the being on the spectrum. They don't believe me though. They're like, no, Dad's just stubborn and he likes watching too many movies. But you just described my dad, so I appreciate that. So.
Yeah, everything has its place, and we're into his favorite season of the year is probably Halloween, because all the characters, and you know, he has his Halloween set. So, you know, you got the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It culminates obviously with The Nightmare Before Christmas. He's usually Jack Skellington for Halloween. But yeah, everything has its moment within everything's plotted out. So there's not a lot of improvisation, but yeah, we love to watch them all. He won't watch. One thing though, a lot of people ask him now is like, oh, what do you think of the new like live action Disney movies? He doesn't speak about those. That's for him considered not Disney movies. And you know, it is what it is. It's a little tough though, because he works at the movie theater, and last summer Lion King was on like 4 screens every single day for like 2.5 months. So I would ask him, I was like, oh, and what movies are playing? And he would like go through whatever. And then he would basically just intentionally not say Lion King. He'd be like, oh, come on. And you'd be like, all right, fine, Lion King's playing. But yeah, his hand-drawn Pixar, that's what he's doing.
All right, we have about 2 more minutes if anyone has any last minute questions, but I want to bring it back to SibStrong. So how often are you doing the virtual events, Walter? And how would you get involved as well?
We do them, you know, we're trying to do them now about like once a month or so. Get involved. I'll give people my email, or I'll give you all my email to share around, but really that's what kind of the last like appeal I'd like to make is if you're a sibling, come on in if you want to. We would love to, you know, especially now that we meet on Zoom, you know, it's the more the merrier. So we're looking for, you know, if you're the parent of a sibling, if you are a sibling, if you're the brother, sister of a sibling, let them know. We would love to, you know, keep expanding the tent. Canadians can join. Zoom jumps over the border, so we're good to go. Yeah, just, you know, we're better. The more of us there are, you know, the better we are. So we would love to have as many siblings as possible. It's just, it's nice. Like we have these, and afterwards it's like, it's just great to hear from other siblings. And, you know, wherever you are on your path, you know, we want to meet you there.
Well, thank you so much, Walter, for taking the time with us today. It's such an honor to have you speak to our community, and we're so excited to keep, you know, the progress of seeing how big SibStrong is going to grow. We know it's going to be, you know.
Well, thank you to what you all are doing too. You know, you know, we're all rowing the same way in one big boat, and it's great to see, you know, organizations like yours and what you all have done for so many families and so many people. So thank you so much, and hope to be in contact with a lot of y'all.
Definitely.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, everybody will take a quick picture. Please, if you're willing to share your video, we would love to see all your beautiful faces. I'll take a quick screenshot and I'll do a countdown. Ready? 1, 2, 3, big smiles. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Happy Wednesday.
Thank you, Walter.
Thank you very much.
Can you send us the email, Walter's email, Rebecca?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank
Thanks,
you,
have a good one.
Bye, everyone.